Hi family, we're back. It's time, the podcast with Dario Ortiz and Elliot Cardona. Family, this is a podcast in Puerto Rico, and we do it usually in Spanish. But today, we had a lot of people contacting us on messages and all, and they wanted to see some of our podcasts in English. So we're going to do this one in English. So you're going to have to excuse us with our English, right? Because we're going to do this. We're going to try to make it happen and make it work so we can have bilingual podcast. We're going to have
podcast.
Yeah. So with you, family, we present you Elliot. Elliot.
Hi to all the viewers.
Hey, good. Hey, this is what we're going to do today. Today, we're going to be talking about, when I'm with Elliot, usually we talk about business, right? And how can technology be used to improve the businesses, right? And usually the businesses that we're more focused on is entrepreneurs. They're young entrepreneurs. They're starting from the beginning with their businesses, and they're starting. And usually what we do is we give them hints and things that they should like start taking in consideration, right?
Yeah.
When they do their businesses. One of the things we're going to be talking today, one of the topics today is talking about home networks, right? And home network, the connectivity in the home, and why is it important? Usually they call it smart homes now, is the way they call them, right?
Smart homes. But smart homes has to do with a whole bunch of different little devices you could implement in your house. But mostly we want to talk about, the networks. What do they need in their house to be able to start like their own small little business or maybe work from home?
Yeah. So this is the idea. Usually we used to live in an era that just changed before COVID, right? We used to live in an era where in our house, usually we didn't have nothing to do with the business. We will get a place, we would open a business, a local business, and we will open. But with the COVID thing, it's been happening a lot. The people have to go back to home, and they've been going home and working from homes, and they've been working like from their house.
From their house.
Yeah, just like and this is the thing. When you're working from home, usually these are things we don't take under consideration. The connectivity, right? We might have wireless, we might have wires, but with this COVID thing, the networking at home has become really, really, really important, because remember, you're using Zoom, you're using a lot of internet things to be able to go out to the world, to connect back to your home office. And if you're in your house, right, you have only wireless, or you have a cable that you threw it through the floor because the modem was in the family, and you're like in the living room, or you created a small room in your house, and people didn't had wiring, so they were throwing wires through the floor, and they were calling a lot to our businesses to get these wires done, because they didn't consider them when they bought their houses. They weren't in smart houses like now that a lot of them come with pre-wiring done inside the house.
Yeah, like a smart home already comes built with all that technology built in.
Yeah.
But most homes don't have that. So, the most important thing I would think would be your internet connectivity, right?
Yeah.
With your service provider.
Yeah.
You have to need a strong internet that's not going to fail. Maybe you make some type of redundancy, maybe. If your prime job is going to be from home, you're going to need some sort of redundancy, because if you lose your connection, then that's it. You're not connected. So, it's a whole bunch of little things you're going to probably need that's good for them to know what they need, because they start and then they could fail. So, not only cabling, the wireless, maybe like you said before, the space, have a nice little space with, where you could work. And what else do you think they should need?
Yeah. Well, usually one of the things I recommend is, like you just said, set up a space, right? You should look in your house and get a space, like a room that you're not using. Maybe that was the toy room or the kid room that just left home, and he let me that room available now, and create that small office at home where you could have that specific space just for you. Because this is the thing. Once you set that space up, you don't want to be like when you set up in the family, and you think you're working from there and everything's going to work fine, but then the kids come in and they're playing PlayStation, they're playing with the TV, they're playing with and they bump the cables, they bump the modem, and then you have a problem because you're working, right? And so set up a space. That would be like the first thing.
Little private space.
Yeah. And once you get that done, the next thing I will start thinking is, like you just said, a provider of internet that is going to be giving me a good internet. Because this is the thing.
reliable.
But yeah, because this is the thing. Before, for home, all you wanted was just a simple internet. You weren't thinking like about 100 megs or 200 megs or even gigs I've been hearing so far. Because what you needed it for? Maybe Netflix and maybe some gaming for the kids.
And browsing.
Yeah, but now your work, the way you provide food for this family comes from that connectivity. So now you will probably want to go to your service provider and verify what speeds are they giving you. Maybe you have only 50 megs. Maybe you should be going for 100 or maybe even 200, of internet speed. And why is that? Because remember, before you had COVID, you were only using it for Netflix and you only were using it for gaming. If your kid couldn't play, you didn't care. I got your internet. You right? But now he's gonna still be playing.
And not only that, Dario, not only that, people don't realize that there's so many things already connected in your home that sometimes you don't notice. Like, for example, right now you went to somebody's home and you may have 20 separate devices connecting at the same time. Your cell phones, your tablets, your smart TVs in each room, right? Your laptop. All these devices, you could have a camera. They're all connected. They're using that internet, So sometimes you think that you have enough and you don't have enough.
You just said another point, very important. Remember, and also the cameras now, because remember, all your private circuit of security, of cameras, security cameras, they also go through the internet, and they're also using that internet. So when I say you should check your internet speed, that's what I'm trying to say here, right? One of the things you should check now that you're working from home is what speeds are you getting for internet in your home? Once you get that settled, okay, I got the best speed I can get for my zone. I can't get more than that, or I can just afford this, it's not even about affording, because I have heard a lot of companies that heard that they're paying their employees so that they could increase their internet at home.
They'll pay for it.
They'll pay for it,
okay,
as long as they could give them the service of keep working for them from home. So, because remember, companies ain't losing money because you're in home working. They're saving money.
They're actually saving money.
Yeah, because they're not paying light. They're not paying air conditioner, office space. They're saving some money. So if they could just redirect that money to the employee in order to get the business working, even though it's remotely, they'll do it. They'll find it like a win-win situation. So internet is the first thing. Second thing that I would work, and you could give me some opinions on that, is the wiring, right? We want to make sure we get that wired structurized, which means it's protected. The cable that goes straight to your office is not hanging around, not in the floor, exactly, not let exposed, so that your kids, anybody cleaning,
your dog, your cat,
the cats
that like to play with cables.
They like to eat cables. I hate that when it happens. And this is the thing. If they bite a cable and it's copper, it's no big deal. We could fix that because you just could replace a cable. But what happens, these new internets that are going to new homes now are in fiber optics. It's the new internets that they're selling now. And if they damage your fiber optics, that could be a big problem. Plus, it could be a hazard for your dog and your cat. So the next thing I would think about is how you structure that cabling, right? How they make you that cable get straight to your office in a secure manner that it doesn't get damaged, and in a good technology. What I mean by that, right? We don't want to use 5 or maybe even 3 category cables. We want to make sure we go 6 or 6 and up, right? Maybe 5E, but the category of the cable will give you the speed you want to get from the modem to your computer. And if your computer has a 1000 connectivity, and then your modem has a 1000 gigabit providing to your computer, and you don't have a good wire, then you're not going to get that 1000 in both ends. So you want to make sure that everything is smooth, right? That will help a lot.
Once you have that in place, there's another very important thing you should consider is you need to balance. You need to have, maybe you could do it some routers or some devices you could implement that you could balance your internet. For example, once you have this implemented in your house, remember you're using internet in all these different devices. Somebody's watching Netflix, somebody's playing a game. He may take all your resources, and then your computer starts going slow.
Yeah.
So you need something to balance that out. That you could say, well, my device is always going to have the priority internet. You could actually program that, and a lot of people don't know. They use it. Just my internet's so slow is because everybody's using internet in their house, and somebody's hogging up the line.
I like the slow word, because people at home, they're not so technical, and usually that slow thing shows by having a video conference lagging. It starts lagging. You start seeing like framing, and then you can't get the conversation through. And it happens because what you just said.
Did you think, wait, I have 100 megs. Why is it lagging? Because somebody's watching Netflix and playing a game, and they're taking up all the resources.
So yeah, a good modem or a good router would help you a lot on making sure that information that you're sharing in that house, that data, is control, and that it gives you always the priority over everything else, because you're the one bringing the bread. So you're the one that want to make sure is working.
It's the most important one.
And then is another detail that is very important, Elliot, and a lot of people don't consider it, and it's sad because it brings them a lot of problems. The light, the electricity is very important,
especially here in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, you see, if you don't have a good UPS, a good surge protector, a good voltage regulator in your area where you're putting your computer,
maybe an electric generator,
and that would be like the most powerful thing outside of the house that you would need to just cover all the bases. But at least in the minimum, what I'm trying to say is, like, if you get a problem, the light just cuts and goes, like you've seen in Puerto Rico, we get a lot of those problems. Like if you get a rain and they get a storm and all these,
the light just shuts down.
You're gonna lose your communication. You're gonna lose maybe the data or the work you were doing at the moment. And having a good regulator, having a good UPS
could damage your equipment.
Yeah, it could help you protect your equipment from getting damaged.
Exactly.
So it's very important to have these equipments when we set that area up. And usually you could get them in these stores. We're not going to mention names though, but you could get them. They're pretty affordable, but you can get just like any one, right? Because they come from different sizes or volts or watts in this case, watts. And like, for example, if it's just a simple computer, you should be thinking, right, of 1,000 and up, because this is another thing. I've been in places that I go to give them service. I want to help them out. And when you go home, they say, no, I bought a UPS. I have it right there. And I still have a problem. And I go, and when I check it out, but you bought a 400 watts. And then you have like a computer that is massive, and monitor, and the printer, and everything is connected. It's just the computer alone. Would it take maybe a 1,200? And you only have 800 or 700 watts, and that's not enough. So those little details are very important.
I recommend never connect the printer to a UPS.
Yeah, that's why I said voltage regulator and UPS. I would connect my printer to the voltage regulator, because you don't and
to protect it.
Yeah, the way I do it for our customers is we put a surge protector first. That one will save us if we get more than 10 amps on the line. That's the first one that's gonna blow up. And then we get a regulator. The regulator will make sure that your voltage maintains to the voltage standard of the country where you're at, right? If it's Puerto Rico, in this case, it will be 120. It keeps your voltage always in 120. But if the light goes, it will still turn down. It will shut down. But it's keeping the voltage from going up or down in order to not get your equipment damaged.
Exactly, to protect your equipment from getting damaged.
And then we put the UPS to that voltage regulator. And I know we're gonna get a lot of people saying that we should just buy a UPS that comes with voltage regulator. But in my case, I consider, and this is
it's always an alternative. It's better than not having one.
Well, it's
but it's,
yeah.
you know, it's better the way you're saying it. But if you don't have it, then you go with the one that has
everything included. Yeah, you could use the one that has everything built in there. The reason that I use all of them separate is because the UPS are disposables. They're usually disposable. They will last you a year, maybe a year and a half. Sometimes you could get the batteries, sometimes you can't. Sometimes they just go bad because that's what they last. But the voltage regulators, I have had voltage regulators for years. I mean, I still have voltage regulators for more than 20 or 30 years, and they don't go bad. They because that's only a transformer in there. That lasts like forever. And you buy a UPS with voltage regulator, and it costs more. And when you got to throw it away, you got to throw everything away because it's all integrated in there. So that's one of the reasons we keep them all separate. But no matter which one you pick, the solution separate or the solution all integrated, you should make sure you take care of the electricity of the room or the area where you're going to be working. Because like Elliot said, remember, it's not just the computer. You have a printer, you have a computer, you have a bunch of things.
Cameras
maybe, and then lights.
External hard drives.
Lights, because now with the Zoom thing, they need to put lights in order to look good on the camera. Everybody wants to look nice, you know? And so all these things are connected to that circuit. And in the house, not in the business usually, because we make sure that doesn't happen, but in the house, this is what happens, Elliot. When they create a circuit is where you're going to connect, like let's say you're going to have a lot of receptacles where you put equipment connected to, right? A lot of those places where you connect in the house, the receptacles. You might think each receptacle is connected to one separate breaker in your house. That's the way it is in a business. But in your house, you can have one receptacle be with like in 20 places connected to just one breaker. So you might have the same receptacle that is connected for your computer, using it for the microwave. It might have a TV also connected. It might have a radio also connected.
And it's easy to test because you go to the breaker and you shut it off and you see the whole room and this other room both turned off everything. So you know that breaker is managing all these different receptacles.
And there's where the problem lies, because all your electricity comes from that breaker. So you turn on the microwave and everybody else is suffering because of that. So electricity, very important to take care of when we're thinking about homework. We're going to be working from home. So those are like little details. The last one, we're not going to go more deep than this, but the last one is having a good desk and chairs, right, in order to work. Because sometimes, you know, we're in home and we think we could just throw ourselves in the sofa and all this stuff. And you're going to say, why would that be a problem?
It is going to be a problem eventually.
Eventually. Why? Because these new laptops, the new ones, like, for example, I use a lot of Apple. If you use an Apple laptop and you put it in your laps, I mean, you're not going to last too long with it in your laps. And you know what I'm saying because you have one. And if you have it in your house, you're going to, it gets really, really, really hot. These computers are designed now to work in 100 or even 120 or 30 of degrees of hot.
And it's not only the heat, it's you're gonna, when you finally stand up, you're gonna have pains in all your back if you're sitting on the sofa. It happens to me all the time. I sit on my sofa, I'll be working for a little while, I don't notice it until I'm gonna stand up. It's I can't even move my back because it's not made for that.
Yeah, so a good table, a good chair, ergonomic chair for you to work from home is something you must consider if you're thinking or are working from home. And like I said before, a lot of these expenses are being covered from a lot of companies that are making people work from home. And they're giving them like the choice. If you're gonna have to buy a desk, you could just like invoice us and we'll refund you that money. So that's some of the things you should be taking under consideration for you at home if you're going to plan to work from home. But Elliot, you know what? Time has gone and we got to close this segment, Elliot. We got to close it. But we're going to touch it again.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. I hope you liked our English. I'm sorry but we
did the best we could.
We did the best we could in Puerto Rico, but we wanted to, keep the podcast available for everybody and on all the audiences. And we had a lot of messages that we should do some of them in English, and we're trying. So like we always say at the end of the podcast, remember to subscribe. Please, come on, click subscribe. subscribe, hit that button down there, and make sure you hit like if you like the video. So, family, with that, we're going to have to close the podcast. Something you want to tell to the people that are following us right now?
It's time.
It's time, family. You know what? It's time. Check you next week. Bye.
Con ustedes, Dario Ortiz, agradeciéndoles que estén disfrutando del contenido de nuestro canal. Como saben, todas las semanas les subimos nuevo material y nuevo contenido para que disfruten de los temas y tópicos que tocamos en nuestro podcast. Es por eso que si estás disfrutando de este material, recuérdate de darle like y darle a la campanita. Recuérdate de suscribirte a nuestro canal. Y si consideras que el material que estás viendo ha impactado tu vida de manera positiva y te ha ayudado a alcanzar nuevas metas, siéntete en confianza en apoyarnos haciendo un pequeño donativo a través de cualquiera de las distintas plataformas de medios electrónicos que te vamos a proveer a continuación. Puedes utilizar nuestra cuenta de PayPal dariopcx@hotmail.com o simplemente nuestra ATH móvil. Nuestra ATH móvil es 787-727-6026. Por último, puedes hacerlo a través de correo P.O. Box 2975, San Juan, Puerto Rico 00910. Gracias por tu apoyo, gracias por tu patrocinio y seguimos viéndonos en los próximos videos. Y recuerda, it's time the podcast.